Fox 2 presents Hancock and Kelly.
Good Sunday morning to you. Welcome to Hancock and Kelly on Fox 2, where we take on the top issues of the week. On the right is John Hancock.
Good morning.
On the left, Michael Kelly.
Morning.
And I'm Andy Banker. On the agenda, St. Louis County has a plan for spending Rams NFL settlement money. How does a study for a development in Spanish Lake sound? The embattled St. Louis City Sheriff hires a member of the new St. Louis Police Board to be his HR chief. The governor and the mayor say, hold on. There's a new allegation that former President Obama directed the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. Mr. Obama calls that a distraction from President Trump's Epstein troubles. And our quote of the week is from a St. Charles County congressman who wants to rename the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts the Trump Center for the Performing Arts. Also, President Trump wants Missouri to redraw its congressional districts again to take away another seat from Congress from Democrats. And what achievements can St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer point to as she marks her first 100 days in office? We begin with fears of an absolute meltdown for the St. Louis City Public School District. The superintendent projects tens of millions of dollars in deficits through the end of the decade, as a new report says the district should close more than half of its schools because of a massive decline in enrollment in a city suffering a massive population loss. The teachers union favors the deficit spending.
How do we structure this school district so it offers the best possible opportunities for the families in the community we serve? We have some people that only think about the school district like they're a business interest and the only thing is the bottom line. Well, our citizens think about other things. They want investments made, and sometimes any organization, in order to invest in the future, you might have to do some short-term deficit spending.
The district is currently paying a consultant firm $7 million for facility planning. The firm recommends that the district shrink from 68 schools to just 31, estimating the district will serve fewer than 13,000 students by 2035. It currently has about 18,000. 50 years ago, it had more than 100,000. The district is currently spending about $19,000 per student compared to less than $15,000 per student for large districts like Hazelwood, Parkway, and Rockaway schools. Can tens of millions in deficit spending now, as the teachers union suggests, Michael, help save this school district down the road?
Oh, I don't know what's ultimately down in the few cards for the school district. It's got problems, Andy. Deficit spending, if they continue at this rate, by 2030, their fund would be depleted and unable to operate. They've got serious changes that need to be made that shouldn't be shouldered by the teachers. The teachers are the one constant that's taking place inside of St. Louis public schools. So I appreciate the call to do that deficit spending right now, but a larger problem needs to be answered, and ultimately, I don't think this is going to be fixed by the local board, Andy.
How would you fix it if you were the superintendent, Mr. Hancock?
Well, you got to balance your budget. You can't run a system in debt for long. And, some years ago, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, when the state put in place a state appointed school board, they cleaned that place up pretty well. And they ran it for a long time. They got the schools back to accreditation status. Something like that may have to happen again. I think the idea of closing down this number of schools with a dwindling enrollment makes a lot of sense to me. You've got to balance your budget. You've got to provide the best educational opportunity you can for those students. And you've got so many of the students that live in the city of St. Louis that have chosen charter schools or parochial schools. And I don't see that situation resolving itself. They've got to take some drastic action here to make the ends meet.
If not, is this district going under?
Well, I mean, that's what the numbers would show you, that you can't deficit spend forever, and quasi-governments like that can't at all.
And they're spending enough per student, right? I mean, the costs are higher maybe because they got all those problems, or all those buildings.
They got buildings, they got, there's family structure issues that are I mean, there's a whole lot of things. But what we do know absolutely, positively, is that you cannot spend your way into creating an outstanding school system.
The St. Louis County Council moves forward with a plan to spend a chunk of its Rams NFL settlement money on a study for a plan. That plan is a potential development in Spanish Lake, the area in North County, which backers say will coincide with the planned opening of the St. Louis Zoo's new safari park in 2 years. That is expected to bring a massive influx of traffic and visitors to North County. The study will cost the county $325,000. The county council is also planning to spend Rams NFL settlement dollars on another plan, a climate action plan. John, we are talking about less than 1% of the county's $169 million in Rams settlement funds.
Michael and I did that zoo campaign a few years ago. It's going to create this safari park. It is going to be pretty cool. And it would be nice to take advantage of that economic activity that's coming to that part of the county that's been largely ignored in recent decades, to have some infrastructure there that is going to be a further enticement for people to come and enjoy what I think is going to be just a phenomenal facility.
What do you think? I hear critics back, 4 or 5 years ago saying, oh, they get this money, it's all going to go on studies. It's going to go on plans about studies and studies about plans. And
well, this isn't the transformational type investment that they had talked about that they wanted to spend. But like John says, it's a minuscule amount of money. I mean, I think they probably make this an interest in less than a month off of the money that they have. So it's a wise expenditure of these funds, because it could have an opportunity to create some economic development up in North County, which hasn't happened in a long time. Yeah. And as John says, this park is going to be spectacular. People are going to travel here for it.
And you have to have a study on a plan to make a development happen. I mean, that's just the way of the world.
Unless you've got a developer that's just chomping at the bit to come in here and build something and does the study on their own, and if that person exists, come on.
Right. Last month, Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe appointed Sonia Jenkins Gray to the new police board in the state's takeover of the St. Louis Police Department. She is now the board vice president. She had been the personnel director for the city of St. Louis until she was fired by then Mayor Tashara Jones in the spring. In the past week, Jenkins Gray announced that she was taking a job as the Chief Human Resources Officer for embattled city sheriff Alfred Montgomery. Missouri's Attorney General has gone to court to oust Montgomery from office for alleged pervasive negligence and misconduct, including having a jail official handcuffed. Jenkins Gray, by the way, is also married to the chairman of the Civilian Oversight Board, pushing to improve conditions at that same troubled jail where another inmate died in custody in the past week. The governor now says that if she takes the job with the sheriff, Missouri senators may not confirm her for the police board because of perceived conflict of interest. But John, this is the same governor who overlooks potential conflicts for other board members that he appointed.
Well, she can't go to work for this guy and stay on that police board. I remember being 7, and every morning I'd wake up at 7 and pretend to be a cop. And that's what's happening with the sheriff right now. I mean, he's trying to do things that are not under his purview. And, if she's more than able to take that job, but if she takes that job, she shouldn't be confirmed to sit on this board.
That may be a point of confusion. I say it all the time when we report on this. He's the city sheriff, but the job is not a typical sheriff's job. It is to provide security at the courthouses and to transport inmates to and from court. That's it.
Yeah. And this is the stuff that I think makes people angry about the city. Like, really, we only have one person that can do all of these jobs. There's 200,000 of us down there. She eagerly went and tried to apply to be on this police board in the city of St. Louis. I would think that would be what her sole focus would be. And now you're going to go with another policing agency that you're going to have oversight on? Come on, St. Louis, we have more opportunities and more people that can participate.
Is there something really going on here? Something else? Under the radar, some gamesmanship or something? Is this a swipe at the governor to pluck her? And you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like it's coincidence.
Well, the sheriff
doesn't.
There's a guy who's grasping at straws, so he's playing whatever card he wants. Why she's willing to be a card in that game is beyond me.
Yeah, I think this is all on the sheriff offering this position and so forth. And who knows how long he's going to keep that job. And but what I do know is that a police commissioner should not be going to work for the sheriff in the city of St. Louis.
But is the governor right to call her out if he's not going to call out other businessmen that he appointed to the board who make money from the police department, a lot of money from the police department that they are now governing?
Well, the only one that I'm familiar with that makes money from the police department is the Don Brown, who's the outside member of the...
Saraceno has a security firm.
Well, he has a private business. He also owns restaurants. Yeah, there's questions that need to be answered. I think this is vastly different than community executives serving as a role like Jenkins Gray was going to do and be focused 100% on that. And as a side job, she's also going to do the sheriff's office. This is crazy. It makes no sense.
Yeah, Don Brown's a non-voting member of that board.
Right. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer marks her first 100 days in office, touting the response to the deadly May 16th tornado that ravaged much of North St. Louis.
The next 100 days look like continuing the work on the tornado front, and we are going to be, taking a shift as well, just to make sure that we are addressing the needs of our entire city.
She also touted things like the filling of 1,800 potholes on city streets and the addition of bike lanes, but the big focus had to be on tornado response, securing hundreds of millions of dollars in federal, state, and local aid for victims, and removing nearly 6 million cubic feet of tornado debris, with millions more to go. John, the tornado hit on day 31 of her new administration. What do you think about her first 100 days?
I think they've been pretty darn good and better than I expected them to be. And I'd give her a solid B+ for the first 100 days. You know, it's not insignificant that they filled 1,800 potholes. That wasn't happening before. You put a focus on that. That's a problem. That costs people money. Potholes cost money to people who can least afford it.
70% of the backlog by the 1,800 potholes.
You've got to give her credit for that.
Oh, it's been an impressive response since the tornado, and who would complain about what she's done there? The problem that I think the mayor faces is she made a lot of promises in her campaign when she was running. And typically you would hit those in the first 100 days. Then you have this, biblical-like tragedy that hits that you have to deal with. So now she's got to hop into that. Maybe this will make her better prepared to deal with the antiquated systems of city government. But voters are going to be looking for some real change, particularly around public safety, because that was the basis of her campaign.
It's still issues at the jail, obviously, we've seen in
right.
the past week. Still to come on Hancock and Kelly, new Russia hoax allegations, not against President Trump, but against President Obama. And congressional Republicans bolt from Washington, but they can't get away from the Trump-Epstein noise.
To hear more, listen to the podcast. Just search for Hancock and Kelly.
Congress got away from Washington in the past week, but members can't get away from the stew pot of President Trump's past connections to millionaire sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, who died mysteriously in a New York jail nearly 6 years ago. The death ruled as suicide.
House Republicans stand for maximum transparency and truth. We always have and we always will.
They are very afraid of the story, and they are afraid to cast votes on the story, so they've decided to just skip town.
Epstein and his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, were convicted of arranging sexual encounters for men with underage girls. Epstein is a former friend of President Trump. Attorney General Pam Bondi pledged to release the so-called Epstein files, but then changed course, saying they contained no evidence of any additional crimes. CNN reports that she briefed President Trump that his name repeatedly surfaced in those files. In spite of the president's urging to move on from all of this, Democrats and Republicans in Congress refused to do so. John, a Republican-led House panel has now subpoenaed the files and Maxwell for a deposition.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. It's not a good look. Obviously, Donald Trump's going through a rough patch right here. The latest polls show his job approval number now south of 40%. That's bad. And, I don't suspect, you get all these wild accusations out there. Look, there's going to be a lot of prominent names in those files, not just Donald Trump's, a lot of them. But I think if Donald Trump was actually participating in the sex trafficking, we would have known about that by now. I mean, you had the Biden Justice Department sitting on these things. So I think it's just going to be an embarrassment for the president, but he's a man that does not like being embarrassed.
Why aren't Republicans following his marching orders on this, do you think, and just moving on?
Because this was the basis of most of their campaigns. Heck, it's been the guiding light of most of their lives for the last 5 years. The Republicans were the ones, and Donald Trump, who made this Epstein stuff. They said they were going to release this on day one. Even in the weeks leading up to Pam Bondi saying there's nothing there, she was saying, I've been looking it over, wait till this list comes out. And I think people are realizing that maybe the deep state is Donald Trump and the Republicans. And I think, well, John's right. He's seeing his approval ratings sink nationally. It's not sinking inside the Republican Party and his base. And you have to wonder when people are going to realize he says one thing and does the exact opposite.
President Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, resurrects the 2016 Russia-U.S. election scandal with documents she says point to former President Barack Obama. She says the evidence shows that Mr. Obama directed the effort to manufacture the false narrative that President Trump colluded with Russian operatives to help engineer his 2016 presidential election victory over Democrat Hillary Clinton. Obama dismisses the allegations as an attempt to distract people from Mr. Trump's Epstein issues, Michael.
Donald Trump's in trouble. Let's go. We'll try to cook up something about Barack Obama. It's a tired, same old story. It's nonsense. This is a distraction. And to be honest with you, I think it's tragic for our democracy to see presidents asserting this the way that he's doing about President Obama.
John?
There was a report that came out that said Russians influenced the election in 2016. They did it through a multiple number of means, and it said that though they tried, they were unsuccessful in hacking into the election systems of the United States. That was a classified report. Obama then directed the intelligence office to remove the classified material and release a public report on the very topic, a report that was affirmed by Chairman Marco Rubio, who was the chair of the Intelligence Committee at the time. It has never been disputed. There were 13 indictments of Russian actors as part of that investigation. Russia interfered with that election. They interfere with all of our elections. This is a red herring.
Still to come on Hancock and Kelly, our quote of the week on renaming the Kennedy Center the Trump Center, and President Trump's call for Missouri to redraw its congressional districts to get rid of one more Democrat in Congress. Freshman St. Charles County Congressman Bob Onder makes a splash. He has authored a bill to rename the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in Washington the Trump Center for the Performing Arts. He calls it the MEGA Act, M-E-G-A, Make Entertainment Great Again. In our quote of the week, Onder says, "I cannot think of a more ubiquitous symbol of American exceptionalism in the arts, entertainment, and popular culture at large than President Trump." Michael Kelly, you obviously agree.
No, and I mean, this is laughable. And unfortunately, I think Bob Onder's casting his die to become the new Cori Bush that brings ridiculous attention to the St. Louis area. This is nonsense.
John?
Well, there's a lot of that stone that you'd have to sand down and re-chisel, so that's probably pretty costly. I'm a little more concerned closer to home, you know, because we're renaming stuff, you know. We're renaming boats, renaming the Gulf of Mexico, renaming this thing. I'm a little concerned because, you know, we got the New Madrid Fault out down here, and I'm worried they're going to rename it the Joe Biden's Fault.
It took a while to get there.
Hey,
huh?
it was good, though.
Very good.
I like it.
All right. With concerns rising among Republicans that they will lose control of both houses of Congress in next year's midterm elections, President Trump is pushing for states to redraw their congressional districts to eliminate seats for Democrats. He's specifically targeting Missouri and Texas. Missouri just withdrew its districts 3 years ago. States typically do so after the census every 10 years. This is a move, John, to eliminate the seat of Emanuel Cleaver in Kansas City, redraw that and make another Republican seat there. It's 6-2 Republican Democrats in Missouri right now. Does it need to be 7-1?
So typically you draw these lines to protect the incumbents, give them pretty safe districts to run in. And here's a cautionary tale, because in Texas, I think they actually might redraw them. I don't think the Missouri redraw will get through the court process. But in Texas, it may. And what you do when you redraw seats to maximize your numbers, you take a 56% district to a 52% district. And there'll be some Republican incumbents in Texas that are not going to be happy about that, because they'll have to actually work and run for election. And in a midterm election with an unpopular president, you're putting those seats in jeopardy. So this may not be the panacea that a lot of folks in the Republican Party think it is.
And would it be enough, just a couple of seats? I mean, they may lose a lot more than that.
They
Right?
could.
Right, but it's
Redraw, is Missouri more of a 7-1 than 6-2 state?
No, and that's why I think it's legally would be in some trouble. It's not even the numbers that it is right now. It has to. There's lots of Democrats to only be represented by one congressman in the state. The courts would never allow that to go down.
And we just did it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think state constitutionally we could redo it again, even if we wanted to. And if you draw a 7-1 map, you're going to put Congressional District 2, in particular, Ann Wagner's district, into some peril going into the midterms. I don't think it's going to happen.
Final thoughts are next. First, drone fox over one of my favorite towns, Columbia, Illinois, just across the county line from Millstadt, the old Twin Cities. Millstadt in St. Clair County, Columbia in Monroe County. Final thoughts, Michael.
Yes, in the midst of this heat, if you have an opportunity to give a couple of dollars to cool down St. Louis and Gentry Trotter and the great work he does, please support it.
Absolutely. Hopefully some relief coming.
Yep, we lost some great members of the entertainment community this past week. Thinking about Hulk Hogan, who passed away, Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show, passed away, Ozzy Osbourne, and Chuck Mangione, one of my heroes, a great jazz trumpet player, 84 years old. It was a rough week in the entertainment field.
Yeah, it was. God be with them all and their families. That's it for this Sunday on Hancock and Kelly. Remember, if it's Sunday in St. Louis, it's Hancock and Kelly on Fox 2. Fox News Sunday is next, and we'll see you next week.